Murray is breaking the fantasy records. Ronald Jones truthers have a field day. Tight ends are nowhere to be found, and Nick Chubb returns with an explosion. Welcome into the Dynasty Mafia Podcast, everybody. I am your host, Antonio Denisi. With me, as always, Eric and Keenan. What's going on tonight, fellas? Happy Friday.
Yeah, we're already
TGIF.
Yeah, we're already on week 11. I don't know if I should be happy or sad that we're on week 11 already.
I mean, I'm sad, definitely sad. Happy because playoffs are coming, but I don't know how well a lot of my teams are going to be doing in that range.
Yeah, why don't you tell
that's where the sad part comes in.
Tell everyone how what a nightmare year you're having.
No, I don't want to make everybody else hate me too much because there's just too much depression to talk about. But it hasn't been a good year for me. I'm hoping to wrap it up in the next couple of weeks and have a big turnaround and use some of the advice that we're going to give everybody a little later because we have a big scheduled show. We talked about it last week. We're going to go over the weeks 11 through 13 and then the playoffs, most playoffs for a lot of managers in 14 through 16. Talk about who we think are good buys, good sells, good matchups, bad matchups. We have a lot of information, plus impresses and stresses, buys, sells. We got a lot going on today, but we're recording a little bit late this week. So like I said, happy Friday. Week 11 though.
I got a Dynasty hockey draft coming up. You got any advice for me, guys?
All goalies.
All goalies. Yeah. Well, you can only have a maximum of 3. So.
Oh, we only go.
You know what? I played Dynasty hockey twice, right? Or maybe 3 years, but the 2 years I don't really watch hockey, whatever, but I don't really know it. Not like I do football or basketball even, but I don't even know basketball that often, but more than hockey. Anyways, I just drafted based off of how many points they scored the previous year, and I made it to the championship both years.
There you go. That's all that matters.
I mean,
yeah, I did that for baseball and hockey the couple years that I played, and I was like, oh, all right, this isn't fun. And then the everyday thing really messed with me. Now nowadays you could set lineups ahead of time and all that, but
we're all in a Dynasty basketball league, and I don't find it enjoying at all. I guess I don't watch many of the games. I catch maybe one game a week, where in football you catch 20 games a week.
You don't like the basketball?
Yeah, all on the same day.
Yeah. That's the point. It's all on the same day, and you could take one day out of your busy schedule to watch football. Where I'm not going to sit down on a Tuesday night and watch Charlotte Bobcats take on the Pelicans,
who had a great draft.
Earlier
this week, the NBA draft got to happening. So that was.
Oh, one more thing.
Weird.
How about the NBA draft?
Are
we gonna get to see Michael Jordan play one-on-one with Mr. Ball there?
Oh man, I don't know.
I hope so.
How ironic though. How ironic that you. So LaMelo Ball got drafted to
Charlotte.
To Charlotte, where obviously Michael Jordan owns them, and him and then LeVar Ball have some history. His father, so
no, Jordan has no history. It's
but sorry, LeVar claims whatever he claims with Jordan
that he could beat him one-on-one. It's it's like you saying that you could beat me one-on-one, Antonio.
All right, dream over. Come on, no, it's all right. It's not bad. I'll give it to you. So. Fun week last week. By fun, I mean really weird. It actually wasn't fun at all. I really couldn't place my finger on it. 8 teams scored less than 20 points. That's a lot. A third of the league really just not putting up anything. And streamers just showed up everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over the list here, but a lot of players owned in less than 60% of leagues that finished top 12 at their position. Let me go over that in a second because tight ends were painful, right? I mean, it just seemed like none of them were able to do anything. The highest scoring this week in PPR was 13.1 points. That's the highest score for a tight end. Logan Thomas led the league with 66 receiving yards for the position and only 6 touchdowns overall, which has been by far the lowest of the season. For relativity, week 8 had 8 touchdowns. So 8 used to be the previous low. Now it's 6. We talked a few weeks ago about George Kittle when he went down, and Keenan had something to say about, drafting tight ends and replacement values. And what are you doing right now with tight ends, guys? There's really 5 that you could even think about being comfortable with. You got Kelsey.
Kelsey's it.
You got it. I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know. I mean, Andrews is consistent, of course. Gronk he's going downhill now. Now that Tampa Bay's moving up.
So Kelsey,
Yeah,
is that it? Is that all we're gonna be comfortable with?
No, I'm comfortable with Kelsey. I mean, you got to be comfortable with Waller at this point.
Yeah, Waller.
When you're looking at the rest of
Waller.
the landscape, I'm still comfortable with Andrews.
Hopefully Goddard gets it going now that he's healthy.
Yeah, I do like Goddard too. I grabbed him in a couple leagues a couple weeks ago off waivers.
Same.
But
yeah, I mean,
like you
Hawkinson's
said,
kind of been.
Hawkinson's been having a really good year. He's actually 4th overall, I believe.
Quietly, yeah. Logan Thomas, honestly, he's having a good year too. Someone that no one knew about week 1, and he almost gets a touchdown every game. They love him in the red zone.
Yeah, he's been a name in the dynasty world this offseason, but yeah, redraft really just pretty unknown for a bit. So let me go over these this list here. So this was like I said, 60% or less owned in Yahoo leagues for last week, and
Of all
they
positions, not just tight ends.
Yeah, for all positions, but they finished top 12 or better, top 12 of their position. So Cole Beasley, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Willie Snead, Keelan Cole, Naeem Hines, Rex Burkhead, Devontae Booker, Malcolm Brown, Wayne Gallman, Selvin Ahmed, Cameron Brate, Jordan Reed, Logan Thomas, Pharaoh Brown for Houston, just in case nobody knows.
I had no idea who that was till the other day.
Richard Rodgers, Tyler Higbee, and Durham Smith for Miami. That's your whole list of players that were all number ones. I don't know. I mean, we had a big list, or we had a list of streamers last week, as we do every week, but 17 in the top 36, almost half of the players were all less than 60% owned. It's not going to happen again. It can't happen again. But there are some
not because everyone's going to pick these players up, and then
wouldn't say that so soon,
and they're going to drop them again.
Yeah, I mean, half this list you could pick apart very easily, but there's a couple players we really should talk about. I mean, Cole Beasley's strung together a nice week now, being on the bye, but they have a tough schedule coming up. He's someone that you should be holding through the bye.
Absolutely. I mean, we obviously we watch all the Bills games, but ever since I think maybe was it the Titans game, once Allen figured out that Cole Beasley was open on every play, I feel like he's had a great game ever since then.
Besides he struggled the last 2 weeks, which is kind of what caused a lot of issues for him.
How about that catch though?
It was a great catch. But the weeks prior to that, yeah, he had a touchdown or at least 53 yards for every game. So he was really consistent.
How many receptions did he have the last 2 weeks, since you're looking at it?
So he had 13 targets, 11 catches last week, over 100 yards.
I mean, that's great for a streamer.
Great weeks, 100 yards and a touchdown. But the 2 weeks prior, he had a total of 5 catches and 63 yards. So that's what caused for concern. But I don't know why, because he was above. He had at least 7.8 points in every game since. So he was a great streamer, had 22 points last week. Gets to face the Chargers off of bye and then at San Francisco. So I think you can hold him. I think you should hold him. Eric, what about Marquez Valdez-Scantling? He's strung together a few games with a touchdown now. And then they activated Lazar last week off IR. He didn't play. So do you think Valdez-Scantling is someone that you should be adding right now?
I think once Lazard is back in the lineup, he's definitely a very droppable person. But if you're in a deeper league, definitely hold on to him. But I mean, I guess hold on to him until Lazard is fully healthy and back. But I mean, they really like Lazard there, I think, and I think he's going to be the clear number 2 once he's healthy.
Maybe the number 1.
maybe no. I'm trying to because Devontae Adams is going to play this week. They said he'll be all right. But if Lazard does come back, I'm wondering they're at Indianapolis and then they're home at Chicago. They're home against Chicago. He could be a good option for them because the top two wide receivers might be getting some action. So definitely deeper leagues, 12 teams or lower, I'd be holding him. I agree there. Nyheim Hines. He is really aggravating a lot of Jonathan Taylor owners, myself included. But I do have some Nyheim Hines shares around, so it's tough to complain. But Nyheim Hines has been on fire. They have an amazing, amazing schedule. They don't face until the championship game, unfortunately. But besides that, they don't face a team worse than 24th against the run. So it's gonna be fun for them. He had 18 touches last week, 2 touchdowns, but
I think you have to start him. I really do. Watching that game was that Thursday they played? He just looked like their guy in that backfield. Passing and rushing, receiving and rushing. I don't know. I think you almost have to look if you have him on your roster, you almost have to consider putting him in your flex. Just because of the reception possibility.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers loves it. He's got 10 catches and 3 touchdowns over the last 3 games. Obviously had a bad game against Baltimore, but besides that, they played Detroit the week before, and he had over 19 points. This is all PPR, but like I said, they have an amazing schedule, and he's got to be added.
I think you have to add him, but also do not underestimate Jonathan Taylor making a comeback here towards the end.
I'm not underestimating Jonathan Taylor. I'm underestimating the coaching staff at this point. They're just not giving it to him. I know he had that big fumble a couple weeks ago. He's just not getting the opportunity. And if you would have told me that Hines was going to take away reps from Jonathan Taylor in week 11, I'd say you're crazy. In the beginning of the season, because I thought, we all talked about it. I thought Jonathan Taylor was the clear-cut number 1 dynasty running back. Well, not clear-cut because of Mr. Homer in Kansas City, but I thought Jonathan Taylor was going to have a great year. But Jonathan Taylor is 4th, 5th running backs from rookies right now.
I was scrolling through Twitter and somebody had a poll out, and they were like, "Who's the number 1 overall rookie running back?" And it was 4 guys listed. It was Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Gibson, probably.
James Robinson. I don't know why I can't think of it, but either way, it wasn't Jonathan Taylor. And
Swift.
Wow.
Swift.
Oh yeah, Swift.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy to think that Gibson and James Robinson would be on a list above him.
Yeah. Well, I just want to mention, since we're talking about it, let's just listen to the rest of the season schedule. They have Green Bay, who's 3rd, Tennessee, who's 8th, Houston, who's 2nd. This is the amount of points they've allowed. So 2nd most.
Per position, per running back.
For running backs. So Tennessee was 8th, Houston 2nd, Vegas 5th, Houston 2nd, and then Pittsburgh in the championship game, who is 31st. So, like I said, they don't face anybody worse than 8th there, and I think Jonathan Taylor is going to take that over. He just needs a few big runs for them to realize how great he is. He's going to do that against these defenses that are susceptible. So let me ask you quick then. Would you rather have Nyheim Hines or Todd Gurley rest of season? PPR.
Todd Gurley. That's not close for me.
It's real close for me. Todd Gurley is so touchdown dependent right now. He needs that touchdown to have a really good fantasy day for you. Where Hines, I know he's had a couple bad weeks, but like I said, that Thursday night game that we watched during our last episode, it just looked like Phillip Rivers and him have a connection. Phillip Rivers loves him, and the coaching staff is just using him more than they're using the 2nd round pick that they just used on Jonathan Taylor. For
me, it's more consistency. Hines has only had 3 games over 10 fantasy points this year.
I guess I'll go Gurley this week just to see what Indy does with their running backs this week.
Those 3 games, though, Eric, 2 out of the last 3 were in the last, 2 out of the last 3 weeks. Those 3 games that Hines had all those points, he did those damages in weeks 8 and 10, and then week 1. So it's been recent, but it's going to be tough right now with that Indy backfield. But hold out for them. So one more. So Nyheim Hines or Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones.
98-yard touchdown run.
I mean,
Yeah. Ronald
he
Jones.
still had 100 rush yards on top of that.
I thought they were gonna bench him again after he fumbled early.
Could you? My heart sunk. I was watching that. I was watching the game, and he fumbled, and I tried to look wherever I could. How many? Like, what teams do I have him on? Because I'm gonna hurt myself because nobody's gonna take him.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and
I was shocked because I texted in our group message. I was like, he fumbled again, LOL, and I was really shocked to see. I'm like, because I have a couple leagues where I have Fournette. I'm like, I'm yelling at the TV, why is Fournette not in the game? And now
exactly.
And Jones wears the number 27, where wasn't Fournette 27 in Jacksonville? So every time he touched the ball, I'm like, there he is. And then the announcer would be like, Ronald Jones. I'm like, all right, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Eric. Are we? Is Fournette droppable?
No, with how many injuries there have been this year with running backs, he's not droppable, but very benchable.
I definitely have looked at his name to drop him, but there's no one on waivers that has the potential that Fournette would have if Ronald Jones goes down.
Yeah, but you're wasting a bench spot right now for a what if.
You could still have standalone.
Let's say Nyheim Hines, for example.
He's not there.
I know.
Okay, let's say Wayne Gallman.
Salvin Ahmed. Wayne Gallman.
Wayne Gallman, I'd probably think about it. I really would.
I would take Wayne Gallman.
Yeah. But
Ahmed, even for the next 3 weeks, you got Ahmed for Miami. Salvin Ahmed, 2 weeks. I would take him. I would take Adrian Peterson this week. I would be dropping him for Adrian Peterson if I
really.
Had. Oh yeah.
Really.
Jones, it's clear.
It's a difference between having to or just keeping him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, if you can burn it and you have that thought that Fournette can still be in there. Mine's gone now after this fumble. Unless for some reason he keeps fumbling, which I understand if you think that's going to happen, but
I mean, we saw the same thing. Ronald Jones fumble and then Fournette took over.
Yeah.
And then what? You said Fournette fumble last game, right? And then
that's why I beat Anthony because they decided to bench him. Ronald Jones that game, and Fournette got me 9 fantasy points. One thing I want to add before we get off, actually not really add, but back to Fournette. If I dropped him today, it'd be my luck where Ronald Jones gets hurt and this coming weekend, and then I'm screwed. But yeah, move on.
Don't say that. Running through, like I said, I don't think there's really anybody else. Salvin Ahmed, we're going to talk about for Miami a little later. Wayne Gallman's been doing it, so he should be on a team. He's going to have work the rest of the season. Richard Rodgers, he should get supplanted by Goddard. And
the name that sticks out here, Antonio, is Devontae Booker. Just because
they traded.
What's that?
Sorry, keep going.
Just because the touches he's getting. Last week, my impress was the hell's their running back name? Why can't I think of his name right now?
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. And when I looked at the stats, I'm like 16 touches for Booker. I'm like half of those should be for Jacobs. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if Jacobs is hurt or what. It's a little concerning.
Well, I think that was just a big. Well, he had a great game. That was the thing. Don't forget, he had his 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they were kind of spelling him down. I think because they kind of controlled the whole game. Carr barely threw the ball. He only had like 150 yards. So that's why it's tough for me to say Booker's an ad because I think it was game script.
Well, he's not an ad. I'm just saying it's a concern if you're a Jacobs fan or a Jacobs owner.
Well, yeah, but it was 37-12. So, like I said, I think he got sat. Booker came in. There was a lot that was in the fourth quarter. Okay. So, yeah, it was a big blowout game. So, I think we'll pass through there. So,
all right, makes sense then.
Yeah, makes sense. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Dynasty Mafia _FF. Make sure to follow myself at Antonio DONISIFF, Antonio Denisi FF. And Eric, you can follow him at EricD_FF and Keenan at Keenan_716. Make sure you could check us out on YouTube. See ourselves on there. You could check out all of our Bills gear that we got going on. I'm sure everybody's gonna love to see that.
I was gonna mention it when we first started.
I did. Yeah, I just noticed all three of us are wearing our Bills hats.
What are they calling it? The Hail Murray or whatever.
The Hail Murray
isn't stopping us from believing over here.
Oh my goodness! I'm glad you brought that up because I've never been, I guess, so not affected by a loss.
Well, me and Big E have been affected. We've been arguing back and forth, calling each other stupid and dumb over a play that
you're a brick wall, dude.
It was just so it was an amazing play. I think we all know that. I thought it was the second that he almost got sacked. I started clapping. Right, I'm just clapping. All right, cool. Game's over. He launches it. Whatever. All I see is nothing but Bills jerseys, and then all of a sudden, the bottom of the pile comes out a Cardinal wide receiver with a football.
I had such a bad feeling.
My head just drops.
After we scored, I had the worst feeling. I'm like, something bad's going to happen. I just had it. I don't know.
You can't explain it. It was, in my opinion, the best play I've seen since Odell Beckham's catch. So, I mean, I'm glad that I'll be able to remember that. And the Bills are still 7-3, so that's great. But I want to talk about Kyler Murray, excluding Thursday night's game. I mean, I'll include it in a moment, but just more so talking through week 10. He's actually on a better pace for points wise, 4 points for passing touchdown than Kyler Murray, or I'm sorry, than Patrick
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, than Patrick Mahomes in 2018 and Lamar Jackson in 2019. Mahomes had 26.1 points. Lamar averaged 28.1. Kyler was averaging 30.1 through week 10. Through week 11, I just did it because he actually scored his lowest of the season. He still is on pace to be – he's still beating. He has 29.18 points. So Kyler is just having an absolutely astonishing year. Obviously, he's doing it through the air with DeAndre Hopkins, but he's also doing it on the ground with his legs.
Remember when you guys were questioning me because I had him at my fourth overall QB?
Let's pump.
10 rushing touchtouchdowns. Come on, he's gonna have 16 rushing touchdowns on pace for it.
Let's pump the brakes. We're gonna talk about the schedule in a little bit.
There we are. I just wanted to mention.
He's got some tough games. He's got the Patriots. He's got the Rams, the Giants. He's got the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Rams again. So 4 out of 6 are, pretty questionable games there. So let's pump the brakes on him.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about him in a little bit. But I want to talk about another thing real quick here. Just a short little rant because I can. Hey, don't be a jerk if
Alex,
you are out of the playoffs. There is absolutely no need to try and ruin any type of integrity in your league in week 11, week 12, week 10, especially near the trade deadline. Don't be trading away players that shouldn't be traded to top teams because you just want to give players away because you gave up. Don't be dropping players. Don't just be doing asinine things that are just going to ruin the integrity of the league and just make a lot of managers unhappy. And then because, people devote time, people devote effort, people want to have fun, but at the same point, people want to win. So it's tough to have fun if you're sitting here and doing so well all season and you're doing great sitting, at 1 or 2, and all of a sudden, 3rd, 4th place just gets loaded with a bunch of players because 10th just wanted to make a trade. Obviously work those things out with your league and your commissioner and talk about locking players and whatnot, but locking teams. But at the same point, just everybody should have that integrity. Get rid of the players that maybe don't want to have that mindset and want everybody to have a good time and have fun. But I
personally find it entertaining, Antonio. I like being at work and looking at my phone and seeing 200 text messages from people arguing about some silly trade that was made.
Yeah, a very silly trade, which then turned out, I think, to be like 31 trades after that between the same two managers. So just don't do stuff like that. I mean, it's not fun for people. And I have another league that I'm in where someone was just dropping players. Tyler Lockett got dropped. Patrick Mahomes got traded for, oh my goodness, I don't even remember because it was so irate. But those kind of things get adjusted. But it's just tough. I don't play in a veto league. I don't agree with vetoes. But I think if two managers make a consensual fair trade with no collusion, I'm all for it. But at the same point,
would you veto this trade? Kareem Hunt for tight end for Green Bay.
Who, Tunyon?
Yeah, him.
Yes. I mean, I don't
know. A little shout out to Shane Sawicki, who runs a fantasy football league. He
let me guess. The top team had Tunyon and a bottom team had Tunyon.
No, I don't know. I think they're both like battling for a playoff spot, but
that's the tough part.
One needed a running back, one needed a tight end, but I understand that portion of it, but like, really,
I don't know.
You couldn't get something better for him. But
this now?
This was a week ago.
Oh man, I could understand if it was like week 4 when he had all of his touchdowns.
No, this is like a week ago, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough.
I see the point where like, oh, I need a tight end, so I have all these running backs, but you couldn't have gotten something better. But I mean, if you also listen to our show, we would have told you that it's not worth spending a lot on tight ends. So,
yeah, very true, very true. And that's the end of my rant. So thank you for listening to that.
Those trades, Antonio, that those people make, it's like a slap in everyone else's face. Like, we don't know what's going on.
I don't know. If you're gonna be a joker, get into a joker league. I don't know. So I think with that, we should move over to our SS Streamboat for the week. We are no longer doing a little three-day inclusive. We are back to having a 10-day long stay. I think we're going to go up on the Norwegian cruise line, maybe see some up through Alaska, look at some good stuff up there, right?
It's cold up there.
It's a little cold up there. Well, we're hitting the wintertime. You ever been to Alaska?
I have not. Have you?
No, but I've seen a lot of great pictures from a lot of good cruises that are on there, man. Like seeing a lot of icebergs, and it's actually kind of nice.
You want to see icebergs?
We want to go on an Alaskan cruise.
You want to see? Oh, you guys want to see icebergs? Come to my house in December. I'll make some icebergs in the backyard for you.
Oh, thank you.
$50 a trip.
That does sound pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You ever been on a cruise?
I want to.
I've never been on one either.
I've been on 5.
Yeah, Eric's a cruiseaholic. My wife's been on a few, but that was pre us.
Pre you. I didn't realize how big these cruise ships are. I saw a picture of the Titanic next to a cruise ship recently on like TikTok or whatever. Damn. Let's just say the size of these ships now. It's bigger than Bosnia.
The biggest one that we were on, there was like, I think the passengers was about 4,500, and then there was like almost 1,500 crew members.
4,500.
Yeah, it was one of the Royal Caribbean cruise line. I forgot which boat it was, but
there's towns
like you need to go like a permit.
Anthem of the Seas.
There's towns in this country that don't have 4,500 people living in it, but they got 45 people on a damn boat.
Yeah, they have like casinos, gyms.
Yeah, there's casinos, all of them, gyms. They got
restaurants. There's like
multiple
clubs
pools,
and stuff.
Restaurants, clubs.
Were you like doing
the one I was talking about had a full basketball court that turned into a bumper cars court. They had bumper cars the one day.
That's it.
We're booking it.
They're crazy. They're fun.
Three.
Then you go to all the islands. I mean, it's
Mafia goes on the boat to do the show live.
Mafia goes cruising.
Right.
Yeah, weren't you like in belly flopping contests?
Oh yeah, there's belly.
Yo, you killed it.
So I wasn't in it, but they had a belly flop contest. My wife and I, we won the pool Olympics.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was pool Olympics. They had we had teams, and we had a bunch of different rounds and did different things, and it was fun.
I gotta go on these damn.
Oh man!
You get one last thing, but you just get a drink package, man. You can drink all you want, eat all you want. There's
You could bring a
buffet.
bottle on the ship.
I mean, I don't know
right?
how it's going to be after COVID, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. That's the thing. Be safe.
If we ever get
Yeah.
by. But you can bring a bottle of your own, right? Each person can
no,
bring
you
their own
can't.
bottle.
You can't bring your own.
You can't bring a bottle of liquor. I thought I heard you could bring. All right.
Wait, I
mean,
think when you're
maybe.
like, I don't know.
You gotta read the policies and stuff. But I don't know.
All right, enough of TripAdvisor. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So we're moving here over to the Streamboat. Toot toot. We're gonna talk about our quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end for the week. And Eric, why don't you get us started off here with your quarterback?
That's a bad idea. 1 second. Streamboat.
For the Streamboat.
Toot
Toot
toot.
toot toot.
All right, yeah. So my quarterback is the leading passer in passing yards for the past 2 weeks, and that is Alex Smith. He's going up against the Bengals. They're bottom 5 against quarterbacks right now, and like we've mentioned in past weeks, their offense likes to put up points, so this could turn into a potential shootout. And like I said, he's been leading the league in passing yards the past 2 weeks. He just hasn't gotten the touchdowns. And I think that's going to turn around, and he might be able to put up a couple touchdowns, a few hundred yards, and have himself a good week. And then I'm doing all 4, right?
Yeah, you can list off 4 of your streams.
All right. Then my running back, I'm going with Adrian Peterson, Detroit Lions. DeAndre Swift is going to be out of this game. I can just see them.
He is? He's out?
Yeah, he's officially listed out.
Yeah, he's
That's
out.
news to me.
But I can see him being a guaranteed workload, at least 15, 16 touches. So yeah, I'm not worried about putting him. He's a plug and play. And then for my wide receiver, I'm going Denzel Mims against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to want to come in here and guarantee get themselves a win, going up against the worst team in the league. They've had a lot of close games, and I think they want to make sure they get this one. So I think they're going to be throwing a lot. Not only that, Mims had 8 targets before the bye week when he was finally back healthy. So yeah, I think he's going to get in there, get a lot of targets, and they're going to have to keep throwing to keep up. And then my tight end, Keenan, you were talking about earlier, is Logan Thomas going up against the Bengals. Kind of goes with Alex Smith here. The past 2 games with Alex Smith, he's seen 5+ targets. For the tight ends right now, you're hoping for something like that. Not only that, I don't think J.D. McKissick is going to be getting double-digit targets every single game.
That was nuts.
Yeah. So I think that's
29 in the last 2 games.
I was watching that game a little bit. Sorry to cut you off, Eric, but there was times where I'm like, yeah, he's getting the targets, but he's not getting the catches. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
But there was so many targets.
He was even getting some catches. He just wasn't
Yeah.
getting the yards. They were he was getting 5 yards here or there, but yeah. So I think that's going to spread out a little bit more. So yeah, I think he'll be a good streamer for tight ends. He might not even be a streamer with the way it's looking around. I mean, he might be picked up, but yeah, he's gonna have a decent.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna slide over to mine, and I published an article for our streams or my stream earlier this week. So I am staying true to mine. My quarterback is Jameis Winston. I know we have the recent news. Taysom Hill. Like I said, that's what I put out earlier this week. I am sticking with it because, yeah, Taysom Hill is going to get the start. That means you're going to get the first snap. I have a really hard time believing if New Orleans wants to win this game that Taysom Hill is going to be doing it behind center at Atlanta, who's going to be probably ready to rip, roar, and throw that ball. Like Matt Ryan's going to be going crazy. But Jameis Winston.
Hope you're right.
We're streaming here, baby. Jameis Winston has his most career touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, played in the NFC South for Tampa Bay. But there's a reason that they grabbed him, and they let Teddy Bridgewater walk. Obviously, they didn't want to pay Teddy Bridgewater, but there's a reason they grabbed Jameis Winston. Didn't just say, "Hey, Taysom Hill's our second quarterback." Why wouldn't they have just done that? I know they're paying Taysom Hill more money, but Taysom Hill could line up as a tight end. ESPN leagues are allowing that. I think that Jameis Winston's going to be getting some throws in there, and I think he has a shot for a few touchdowns.
How do you feel about that?
I'm angry.
that ESPN's allowing.
It's odd to me. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm in a couple ESPN leagues. I'm not a big ESPN fan, so I really didn't care. But I thought that was.
Yeah, I don't have any
I thought
ESPN leagues.
that was silly.
Not none ESPN.
Matthew Berry like put out a huge tweet why like just to like cover ESPN's own end, just why it's okay for you to start him at tight end.
I mean, if your league allows it, unfortunately,
maybe they know something we don't.
Quarterbacks.
Is Winston going to be the starter after the first play?
They don't know anything.
My running back is Selvin Ahmed for the Miami Dolphins at Denver. This one's more a combination of the opponent and the opportunity. We saw Josh Jacobs. Keenan and I, we were just talking about it. Josh Jacobs had a resurrection last week with his 136 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Booker had almost 100 total yards. And we've seen the Dolphins use Myles Gaskin, who's currently on IR. We've seen them use him as a bell cow. We saw Selvin Ahmed get used as a bell cow with his 22 touches last week. And that's going to continue. So I'm very confident with using Selvin Ahmed this week. And hopefully if you're able to grab him, he could be more than just this week because they have Denver and then they have the Jets next week prior to Myles Gaskin coming back. So I expect to see him a lot, and he should be an RB2, strong RB2. My wide receiver, Jacoby Myers, he has a 40% target share each of the last 3 weeks. It's kind of wild, but he's had 31 targets over those 3 games, so it's very hard to ignore him right now. After causing a lot of hype in the 2019 preseason, he kind of tapered off last year. This year, he really hasn't done too much, but now we are seeing him come through. Obviously, it's a different quarterback, as we know, with Cam Newton, so the passes aren't the same. But he's had at least 5 catches and 58 yards in all 3 of the last games. And I think with last game being a 10-7 barn burner, it just made it kind of tough for him to do much. So I think he's going to bounce back this week against Houston, who allows some of the most passing yards, over 260 passing yards a game. Tight end's going to be Dalton Schultz at Minnesota. He's definitely been underwhelming for this season, especially being a rookie tight end. But I think that's what we forget is that he is a rookie tight end, and he's got there's a lot of mouths to feed in that Dallas offense. But Andy Dalton is on track to come back, and their defense, the Vikings, is allowing 8 yards per attempt. And they allow the 13 most points to tight ends. So I think Andy Dalton's going to deliver some balls to Dalton Schultz's way. It's going to be a Dalton game. And he's averaged at least 6 targets in his last 4 games. So if he can get in the end zone, he's going to be really nice for you. I know the Vikings just shut out Jimmy Graham, but the Cowboys are a little bit more of they have a little bit more options than the Vikings had.
Can I actually mention something on your Winston stream here?
No, but you can try.
All right, well, I was just saying, if you are correct and he does actually get the play,
I know where you're going.
He could be the ultimate DFS play. DraftKings or FanDuel. If you got a couple bucks to waste, make a lineup with him as your QB.
I'm telling you, there is no way that Taysom Hill is playing this whole game. Not happening at quarterback.
You wanna bet that Hill gets 60% or more of the snaps?
I made a bet that I don't know why Alex bet me that he bet Taysom Hill would throw more than 300 passing yards.
That's not happening.
I was like, all right.
But Alex has known everything. Knows everything the last couple of weeks. So
hey, that's the AK guru. We gotta be careful. He's a good dude.
Yeah,
no, but he had a good Mike Davis call. It was a good Mike Davis call. Yeah, so let's write this down.
In a Hyde call.
Yeah,
we'll give it to him.
That's what I meant.
Maybe we'll bring him on. Maybe we'll bring him on one day.
Oh yeah, we might have to get him on.
Yeah.
So all right, let's go for a 6-pack wager. 60% Taysom Hill.
We need to tally up these 6-packs up because there's been a lot of bets.
60% behind center, and I got Jameis Winston. All right.
I'm sure I owe a couple 6-packs to both of you.
We'll see.
All right.
Yeah, that would be good, man. So like I said, that's what good. So yeah, Keenan, take us home.
Yep. All right. So for a quarterback, I got Cam Newton playing Houston. I know I've kind of downplayed Cam Newton all year. I've been nervous to trust him, but I mean, this matchup against the Texans, I think it's pretty good. We see Newton rush for a score in 2 games this season. At this point, he's due for another good game where he scores a couple rushing touchdowns. Especially, I think this week you could almost pencil him in for one, especially against that Houston defense. It's allowed a dozen rushing scores out this season. 4 of the past 5 quarterbacks to play the Texans have also had at least 23 fantasy points. So if you're looking for a stream, I think Cam Newton has a decent game. My boy for running back, LaMichael Pirine, I picked him up in almost all my leagues. Dropped him in a couple, kind of kicking myself after the news. Looks like he's going to be the lead back there in New York. I know he plays for the Jets and all, but someone's got to get those carries. They played the Chargers this week, and the Chargers had a tough time containing Selvin. What's his name? Selvin Ahmed. Is that
Selvin Ahmed? Yeah.
Selvin Ahmed. And that could mean a lot of good things to come for Pirine this week. And LA allows 4.7 yards per carry. And like I said, he plays for the Jets, but someone's got to get those touches. And I think, Eric, you're going to like this. Maybe not. Maybe you won't like it, but we'll see. For wide receiver, I got Josh Reynolds. He's playing Tampa this week. Reynolds has been very impressive, Eric. Pay attention. He's seen more targets than Robert Woods, 32 to 29 the last few weeks. He scored more fantasy points than Cooper Kupp this year so far. He has seen more air yards per week than both of those players. His targets have climbed in the last 5 games. He's seen at least 8 or more in 3 straight targets in the last 3 games. So I think this week, if you need a good start, I think Josh Reynolds, and especially in that LA offense, that can score 30 plus points.
What was the Reynolds stat on the more points than Cooper Kupp?
He scored more, I think, in the last 3 weeks.
Couple games. Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm sorry.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, not the whole season. Last 3 weeks. Let's see here. I mean, obviously Woods and Kupp, you're going to start those guys, but if you need, someone to fill in, I think Reynolds would be a perfect sleeper this week.
Well, but the other reason too, just to interject just a little, you have to also look this week that the Bucs' defense, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, James Dean, wow. Jamel Dean are going to be covering Woods and Josh Reynolds. So it'll be tough for Woods. They're mostly on the perimeter, so it'll be interesting if they put Reynolds in the slot too. But I think you're right. He could do more damage than Woods.
Yeah.
And Kupp.
Yeah, and especially if they fall behind to Tampa, Goff's going to have to air the ball out more.
It's going to be a good game. Probably might be. It's going to be a real good game.
Is that a primetime game? Is that a Sunday night game?
Monday night.
Monday night? Who's the Sunday night game? I know they have a good slate this week of primetime games.
I'll double check that.
Yeah, look that up. My last one is Austin Hooper. He plays the Eagles this week. I know all 3 of us wanted Hooper to have a better year, but he struggled throughout the year with injuries and production. He didn't do much last week. But who can do anything when there's a hurricane in the stadium? But I'm projecting that he bounces back this week. I think he's going to have to start getting some more targets. We talked about how Mayfield loves his tight ends throughout the years, and I don't know if this year he's not targeting them as much, but I think especially he has a favorable matchup against the Eagles this week. I think he gets at least 5 to 6 targets, hopefully, and a touchdown.
Chiefs Raiders Sunday night.
Yeah, not Raiders. Derek Carr would be a nice stream if anybody's leery or worried about Jameis Winston, or don't like any of those other 2 jokers options.
Wow. We're not the one.
We're jokers.
We're not the one streaming
a backup.
Yeah, we're not streaming a 3rd string quarterback.
I was waiting for it. Oh yeah, I see. You just said 3rd string. Well, think about this. Is funny. So I just saw a tweet. So Drew Brees is on IR, and they're going to sign Trevor Siemian.
What?
Could you imagine if Siemian gets goes over Jameis too?
They're gonna cut Winston tomorrow.
Man, I don't know. He's just got a bright future though. Dynasty players, you should probably try to buy low, especially super flex.
People tried to buy him low in our Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Someone offered me a second, and a third or whatever. I'm like,
it's tough if you were holding him now to get rid of him.
Yeah, at this
because
point,
like
I'll keep them.
you're waiting, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right, so that's our Streamboat for the week, for the 10-day Atlantic, Alaskan cruise.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll go to Atlantis one of these days too.
be nice.
There's a lot of places that we can
I
go.
have.
Stop.
What did he say?
He says he has. He's just bragging again about his cruises.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
No.
Oh, it's always lost. All right, we're gonna move on to our schedules.
Side note: Brandon Ayuk ended up on COVID IR again. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, Mixon's out. Brandon Ayuk is close contact with COVID. It's all coming. It's all coming around. All right, so let's talk about a couple of players and teams and schedules and good and the bad and what we're gonna like and what we're not gonna like. So let's start it off here with weeks 11 through 13. The Ravens have some favorable schedule. Actually, I'm sorry, weeks 11 through 16. The Ravens look pretty good with their schedule. Matt Ryan has a good week 11 through 13. The Bears running backs, which we don't really care about, but the Ravens players, are you buying low right now on the Ravens? Because Marquise Brown's not doing so well. Lamar Jackson, we know, has been struggling a little bit. Dobbins hasn't really broke through. Mark Andrews,
I already traded for Andrews. I just traded Keenan, actually. Keenan and Wayno. I don't know if you saw. Did you see that trade, Antonio?
I'm sick of Andrews. I traded him.
It was in our league with Alex, our main league.
We have like 10 main leagues.
What was the trade? Yeah, no, that's why it was tough. It was Terry McLaurin, Mark Andrews, and Melvin Gordon is what I got. I gave you Aaron Jones,
Noah
Fant,
and wide receiver for Carolina.
Robbie Anderson.
No, Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel. Well, the reason I traded Scary Terry, and everyone knows I love Scary Terry, is I traded for another wide receiver to fill his void in the trade. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So then I grabbed a running back.
So you grabbed Andrews. I mean, are you grabbing Marquise Brown at all? We know. I mean, Marquise Brown's been missed a bit. Should have more touchdowns. Should have more yards.
I feel like the future is only going to be better for him. I mean, you can buy him pretty low, I feel like.
Do you mean immediate future, or are we talking a year or two from now?
Just rest the season, because
rest the season even.
I mean, the last 4 games he hasn't topped 8 points. It's been very tough. He's been struggling, but they have Tennessee, then they're at Pittsburgh, Dallas, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and then the Giants for the championship. So none of those teams against wide receivers are bottom half. They're all bottom half for giving up points. So
this is probably the best time to buy him in a dynasty league if you want to buy him, because there are people, some of his owners, going into the season were all about him, but now I feel like half of them are kind of just not bought in on him anymore.
I'm on that half. I traded him to you.
I mean, look though,
in the Christian McCaffrey trade.
The first 9 games that Marquise Brown played, he had 5 of them against top 12 defenses. So it's been showing for some of those games. Why it's been tough. Obviously, like I said, Lamar's struggling. I think he's got to bounce back.
We need to talk about
J.K. Dobbins. We
need to talk about Baltimore here, and I need to agree yet disagree with Mr. Keenan here. I'm disagreeing with you that Lamar is bad, but I'm agreeing with you that defense has figured out the blueprint. And let me tell you why. So I don't think Lamar is bad. I think long term he's going to be fine. And I agree with you with that they figured out the blueprint, because they did. The blueprint was Mark Andrews. If you look at it. Lamar this year has had 4 games with over 20 fantasy points. 3 of those games were 3 of Mark Andrews' top 4 games, fantasy wise as well. So these defenses are shutting Andrews down, which is shutting that whole offense down.
Shutting the middle of the field down.
Yeah, they shut the middle of the field down. Then the cornerbacks are paying attention to Marquise, and that's what they're doing. And Lamar's not running just as much, but he's running efficiently.
Well, we talked about the blueprint when it came to Josh Allen too. How after the first 4 weeks, teams started playing zone, and we're like, okay, now it's time for offensive coordinator and Allen to figure out what defenses are doing and adjust, and they did in pretty quick time. I would say three games that they figured it out, and then he bounced back against Seattle, had a pretty good game against Arizona. But I mean, when is Baltimore going to figure out, or Lamar Jackson going to figure it out? Like
that's what I was about to say. Is
we're going on a whole year almost.
I think these next 2 weeks are massive. It's going to be interesting because this game against Tennessee this week is a rematch last year of their playoff game where Tennessee shut them down. So Derrick Henry ran all over them.
I think it's time for that. They know it's time for them to get in playoff form, and I think they're going to get Mark Andrews going, and I think that's what they started to do this last game.
They're in trouble. If they lose this game, they might not have a playoff form.
But the schedule just gets so much better. Like, besides, you have this week against Tennessee, so we'll see, right? Then you got Pittsburgh. After that, though, you got Dallas, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and the Giants. Do any of those worry you? And I know, like you're saying, Lamar Jackson's been tough, but he's only played against 2 top 10 defenses this year. Two bottom 10 defenses so far for fantasy points.
I was going to say that worries me even more.
Yeah. So it's the schedule gets better. So I think all Ravens are by. I think we kind of covered a lot of that.
Not the running backs, though.
Oh, yeah, not the running backs. Yeah, let's talk about Dobbins real quick.
I just want to be clear. I loved Lamar Jackson coming out of college. I did.
Right.
Besides last year, since then, he hasn't showed much. Since that playoff game, he hasn't showed much. And I mean, this New England game also, woof. But gone.
Yeah, it's been some struggles, but I know a lot of our listeners have seen the side of your fence that you're on. So for Dobbins, or for at least the running back, so they got Pittsburgh and Cleveland, who are top 8 defenses, but I'm not too worried about Cleveland really. Besides that, though, Tennessee, Dallas, Jacksonville, and the Giants really aren't too tough with running. It's just game script and working on Dobbins. So I don't know if we haven't seen the breakout yet. It's tough to say over the next couple of weeks.
The only thing I'm buying is Dobbins in a dynasty league.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that too.
If he hasn't broken out now, even with Ingram missing a couple games with injury, he's not doing it this year.
He kind of broke out. He had some good games.
Yeah, he had the one good game, but and then
the Ravens won't give it to him.
I think right now is potentially going to be the lowest his value is ever going to be in a dynasty league.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very
true.
Until he's older. But
let me write that down right now.
So let's talk about Matt Ryan. All right. They just came off their bye. Calvin Ridley's hopefully coming back. So hopefully the team is healthier. They have New Orleans, Las Vegas, New Orleans, and then the Chargers, Tampa Bay, Kansas City. So all of those games sound like they could definitely be shootouts. And playing at Kansas City in the championship game, I kind of like that. I know people would be worried about that, but that would be pretty nice to watch Julio and Ridley and Hurst going up against that Kansas City defense. So I feel like Matt Ryan is someone you could be buying. And Matt Ryan, for me, I think he's going to be a top 8 quarterback rest of season. So that's definitely somebody that could have some large games for you. What do you guys think? Obviously, that entails with, are you worried about Calvin Ridley's injury or Julio at all?
Guess the leap year wasn't going to happen this year, guys, huh?
It's the yards are there. The yards are there. It's just the touchdowns haven't been as far. But he hasn't been throwing a lot of picks either. It's interesting. He's been more efficient.
Yeah, I like it though. I like him. I mean,
I like everyone there from Atlanta.
And
really.
not a lot of people even want Matt Ryan, so I feel like for what you have to pay for him, it's going to be worth it.
I dropped Matt Ryan and then picked him up the following week. People are not, like you said, people don't like Matt Ryan, right?
Yeah, I got him off waivers I think last week in the league.
Matt Ryan or Matthew Stafford rest of season?
Matt Ryan.
Cam Newton.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Oh.
That was a bad one.
Okay, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Ooh. know, man. Deshaun has struggled. He's not the same player ever since Hopkins was traded. I'm gonna go Matt Ryan. He's just got more weapons.
I think you have to because, man, like Deshaun Watson's one of the players that have a rough schedule.
That too.
For quarterback. Like the rest of season, they don't have anything good till the championship week against Cincinnati. They have New England this week at Detroit. Actually, Detroit's not bad. Then it's Indianapolis at Chicago, Indianapolis, and then home against Cincinnati. So one more, Ben Roethlisberger or Matt Ryan.
Same thing with Roethlisberger. Look at what happened. Dallas was able to shut that offense down.
They just controlling the game.
Yeah, I feel like is he like early, like starting to go into the portion of his career where he becomes a clock manager?
That's what they're. Yeah, they're not going 650 pass attempts. I don't know. It's been interesting.
They're actually only like half a point different from each other. They're both 12th and 13th in rankings right now. Matt Ryan and Big Ben. Big Ben's 12th and Matt Ryan's 13th.
Yeah.
Like I said, only a half a point difference in fantasy points was.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going Matt Ryan rest of the season.
Me too. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, so would I. Yeah. I actually think Matt Ryan would be better than Herbert rest of the season, but that might be just me.
I'm not going there. I like Herbert a lot. He's beaten Matt Ryan by like 20 points right now, and he played what? Matt Ryan didn't miss any games, did he?
No, but
no.
he
played one less
so
game
let's talk about Miami real quick. I know we talked about them a little bit more, but Miami for all positions, tight end for Mike Gesicki, Tua, quarterback, Preston Williams if he comes back. Or Preston Williams won't be back, but he might be. But Devontae Parker, Jakeem Grant. I'm sorry, and then obviously Salvon Ahmed, and Myles Gaskin. So all of them have very favorable matchups. Are they buy lows for you guys? Anybody there, like Mike Gesicki, maybe especially with how bad he's done? If he's not on your waiver wire, I mean he's down.
I think if you're a team that's in a good spot to be made, and you know it's looking good to be making playoffs and whatnot, I think you can buy Gaskin right now if you need a running back, for the playoffs. But I'm not spending a lot to get these guys. Gesicki, I think you can get right off of waivers. I mean, he hasn't really done much.
Yeah, I'm not. I said it last week, and I'll say it this week. Miami's luck is going to run out.
I actually traded away Gaskins in a dynasty league.
I don't think Miami's that good, guys. I really don't. I think they've run into a lot of teams that didn't take them seriously. They've gotten defensive touchdowns to keep them to win them games pretty much.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
What happens when they get in shootout or their offense needs to score? I know I'm kind of drifting away from dynasty purposes here, but I like Eric said, I'm not buying high on any of these guys. It's going to be a very, very minimum that I'm offering for anybody.
But Keenan, they've scored at least 28 points. Yeah, but they've scored at least 28 points in the last 3 games, and they played the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Chargers.
Their luck's going to run out.
I hear you, but now they're going to play Denver, who's gotten
I actually think they're a pretty good team.
It's a very good defense, and if Tua can keep the offense humming, they'll do well. They're at Denver.
But he's not keeping that offense humming. He hasn't even started humming the offense.
I don't know. I would disagree. I think last week he showed a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's just I'm not. I think they're a good team, and I think they're very usable fantasy assets. I'm not paying up to get any of them. I'll pay, if I'm a top team,
there's no sexy
playoffs and I need a running back come in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
I'll try and get Gaskin somehow.
Yeah. I think Tua might have a chance to be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, if you're in a super flex league or even a 1 QB league and you need something, you can probably get Tua pretty cheap.
Prediction. I think they struggle in Denver this week.
Well, that'd be interesting. Without Drew Lock too, and actually he might play, but
he's playing.
I think they may not actually really struggle until week 14 when they play Kansas City. Then they have New England and they're at Vegas. So right now against Denver, the Jets, and Cincinnati.
Listen, for our Buffalo Bills' sake, they better start friggin' struggling.
But I do see Miami possibly drafting a running back next year. So I would say if you're in a dynasty league, if you can sell Gaskin, I actually just sold him for Mike Williams in a league, so I'm pretty happy about that.
I thought you were gonna say Mike. I thought you were gonna say Mike Evans.
No.
They almost lost.
So
But with the
What
way
about-
Herbert's been playing, I'm happy about that.
what about if you're a team on the fringe right now and you need to get some wins? Would you grab someone like DJ Chark? He plays Pittsburgh, Cleveland, then Minnesota the next 3 weeks. All bottom 12 in pass fantasy points given up.
What are we talking about?
So
Yeah, I think
DJ
he's
Chark.
another one you can get pretty cheap. He's
No,
high impressed this week, so
You know, I
Yeah,
love my
with
boy DJ.
yeah, it's been with the way Luton's been throwing it.
Did,
Or
did, they say,
Luton, geez.
did they say that what's his face is coming back? Minshew?
He'll be coming back.
He
but
might
not
be
as- He
missing-
might not be a starter.
Yeah, I don't think they can go back to him, right?
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't won with Luton so far. I'm not expecting to win much, but
They
I
only
think the
won
next
one
couple
game.
weeks, Chark could be a good help, especially if Chenault's going to keep being out. So what about Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady do not have good weeks 11 through 13. Tom Brady is he has home to Minnesota, and then, I'm sorry, not home to Minnesota. Let's talk about Rodgers. He's got
Indy,
Chicago, and Philly. So I'm not talking about Philly, but the next 2 weeks are rough. But then he's at Detroit, home to Carolina, home to Tennessee. I mean, Rodgers could be a league winner in the playoffs for you. But the next 3 weeks, if you have him, are you going to be able to, like, let's say you have Aaron Rodgers and Tua. Are you playing Tua this week? Or no, maybe not this week. What about next week? Are you playing Tua next week when Aaron Rodgers is going to be home against Carolina and you're going to have Tua against the Jets?
Nope.
I'm not sitting Aaron Rodgers.
Nope. Are you?
I don't know. I think I'd have to see how this week goes for Aaron Rodgers to then maybe
I mean,
decide.
he's playing at MVP Aaron Rodgers level. I mean,
I didn't mean Carolina, by the way. I meant Chicago. He plays next week because he plays Indy this week. If he doesn't do well, which is kind of they're the worst, they're the best defense, so we're kind of expecting maybe not that great of a game. But if he doesn't do that and then he goes to play Chicago, it's going to be tough for me if Tua does well in Denver and then is about to play the Jets. I don't know. What about so Stafford or Matt Ryan? I mean, not Stafford, Rodgers. You could have Rodgers and Matt Ryan on your team. And I think it all just depends on this week, but maybe you're right. You got to play him. But Tom Brady, though, Brady's playing against the Rams, who are 31st against the pass. Then they got Kansas City, which you're hoping is a shootout, and then he's on a bye. So you're a little tough with Brady, but then he comes back to Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit. So same thing with Brady.
There's leagues that Brady's on waivers still. People can pick him up. At least in some of my leagues.
Yeah, he's 95% now on Yahoo.
Oh, is he?
He was, I think, up until a few weeks ago. But Jared Goff as well in the playoffs. The Rams could do real well. Jared Goff could be a league winner. He's got New England, then the Jets, and then Seattle. Seattle week 16 just is so mouthwatering for both teams. I know the first time they matched up, it wasn't too great, but I think he has a good shot. Let's just move quick to some not favorable schedules. We talked about the Bucs wide receivers, guys. We were talking about them off air. We're talking about them now. We just talked about Brady. What are you doing with these Bucs wide receivers? All of them had at least 67 yards last week. Brown, Evans, and Godwin, and 6 catches or targets. So what are you thinking right now with these three?
I gotta say, I was telling you guys earlier with Mike Evans, I'm really not worried because both of the past 2 weeks he had touchdown catch just drop right through his hands, and I don't believe that he's going to continue to drop those balls, and I think he's going to have more touchdowns coming his way, and he's still up there in targets. You know, the past couple of weeks he's gotten some of the most targets on the team. You know, he's still getting 50 to 60 yards at least a game, and if he's getting those touchdowns, his stat line's going to look much nicer. And Godwin, I think you just got to hold him right now and just hope he comes back to form. He's had some injuries, but I don't really think you're going to get, anything crazy in a trade.
I'm so fatigued about talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver.
Yeah, I kind of liked what Eric had to say there. Yeah, I think you got to hold everybody, and nobody's going to buy them. I agree. Temper expectations this week. Keenan, James Robinson has
Trade him.
been dealing with
Wow.
he's been dealing with a really, really good schedule throughout the season. He's been taking advantage of those matchups. They have only faced two teams that were in worse than the top 12 and giving up fantasy points. But now the next 6 games, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Minnesota, Tennessee, Baltimore, Chicago. Some of those games don't worry you, of course, but you got to think about how that offense is going to be running with Lutton against those defenses. And if they're not doing much and they can't establish a run game, I don't like him the rest of the year. And
Trade him.
I'm actually holding him. I mean, unless depending on what you're going to get offered for him, if you can trade him for like a Nick Chubb or I don't even know, maybe even Miles Sanders, maybe Nick Chubb, Miles. I mean, I don't even know because I still think he's going to be a top 10 running back rest of season. Not only that, but I don't think Jacksonville wants to actually win games, so I don't see why they're going to go away from using him.
If Swift was healthy, I would trade Robinson for Swift right now.
I was just about to actually ask you, you could definitely get Swift plus for him.
Yeah.
Even though Swift's going to be out this week, he has a schedule that is, I mean, he is the ultimate buy this week with him being out. It's going to stink because he probably would have a great game this week against Carolina, but then he's got Houston, then Chicago, which that's really the only one I'm worried about. And then it's Green Bay, Tennessee, Tampa Bay. And they're showing right now that they were going to work him, which really is unfortunate. He's not going to play this week. But would you rather have DeAndre Swift or Zeke Elliott rest of season?
I'm probably still sticking Zeke.
Yeah, I'll probably stick. If I'm questioning it, I'm just going to stick with Zeke.
What about Swift or Edwards-Helaire?
I don't know.
Maybe
Swift, I think, just because has Hilaire had a good game since Bell signed?
No, he's getting a lot less touches, and then they had a bye week, so we'll see. Maybe.
Well, you see, one's trending the other way, and one's trending up. I think you have to go with Swift.
I think I would because I think you can actually potentially get Swift plus. I mean, in all these deals, you can get Swift. You should be able to get. I mean, for Robinson, Zeke, whatever, you should be able to get Swift plus. I mean,
I can agree with that. The Buffalo Bills, guys. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen especially, they do not have a great end of the year. They got a bye week. The Chargers is a favorable matchup. At San Fran, then Pittsburgh, at Denver, and at New England to end the season. Are you guys worried about Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley? What are we doing with these guys right now?
I think I'm hanging on to him. I really not to bring my Buffalo bias out of it, but I think I've seen enough from this offense throughout the year where it's one of the top offenses in the league, and they're going to put up 25 plus points every week.
The thing that worries me is the 3 games that the Bills played where they played top 5, top 6 defenses was the Rams, the Chiefs, the Patriots. And those 2 out of those 3 games, the Rams and the Patriots, the Chiefs and the Patriots were his 2 worst games of the season. The Rams, we know he had a great first half and then struggled the second half. So I think
KC game, there was a tsunami in the stadium. So.
Yep, Tennessee game had some rough weather, so that was questionable. And then the Jets game, we know how that kind of.
And also, he was kind of battling a shoulder injury, which was brought up.
And that was during that time frame.
Yeah, I'm staying put with him.
Yeah, I mean that's you're seeing the first 4 games he had nothing less than 25 points, had over 33 points twice. Then he had that 4-game stretch where they were talking about him potentially being injured. He didn't have more than 19 points. Now the last 2 games, 40 and 28. I mean, I'm not worried about the Chargers. San Fran, they're a good defense. They're traveling across country. I think he can still put up points. They have Pittsburgh at home. That could be an advantage. And then at Denver and at New England in the championship. I don't know if I'm too worried about at New England in the championship.
I'm not worried about him.
Yeah,
I'm holding everybody.
Yeah, New England might be.
I mean, I'm worried about Diggs. I'll be honest. I'm worried about Diggs a little bit, but
Isn't he leading the league in receiving yards right now?
He is, and
Yeah,
targets. So
And I think for how, I mean, if you got Beasley on your team in a redraft league, it's probably got him off waivers, and I think he's highly exceeding any expectations you ever had of him. So, not really worried about him as well.
well, you keep him on your bench though. I mean, I know we were talking about
Oh
adding
yeah,
him as a
I
streamer,
think you
so
have to. He's
obviously
having a great year, especially. I mean, I got him in a few deep. I mean, in a 10-team league, you're probably not.
yeah.
I mean, maybe even he's, like I said, he's having a really good year. I mean, he's a very good flex option. So.
Let's talk about the last one. Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill. He's got a rough next 2 weeks, but after that it gets pretty easy, and that kind of, I guess, coincides with AJ Brown as well. He's got like we said, they play Baltimore this week, and then they play against Indy, but then they have Cleveland, Jacksonville, Detroit, and then Green Bay for the championship. So if AJ Brown struggles again this week, that'll be three of the last 4 weeks where he potentially could be struggling. Do you think he'd be a good buy? A lot of people might not have their trade deadlines till Thanksgiving. So do you think it's a good chance to be buying AJ Brown or Tannehill?
I think I'm a little opposite on the way from the Bills to the Titans, where we see the Bills, throw the ball a lot. They don't feature their running backs a lot, where the Titans are kind of the opposite of that, where they feature Derrick Henry, and as they should. So I think I'm staying away from Tannehill, I think. But if I have a chance to buy AJ Brown, obviously I'm going to try to buy one of the best wide receivers in the game. I think you could replace Tannehill with a waiver quarterback.
Yeah, I think you need to get Derrick Henry too. He's been struggling as well, and he's going to look to possibly struggle for this week against, like I said, Baltimore, Indy, Cleveland, tough run defenses, but Cleveland again, not so much. But then it's Jacksonville, Detroit, and Green Bay, like we said. That's sixth, first, and third in points allowed. So Derrick Henry can 100% be a league winner again. I think he's going to be the last one that we're talking about for the schedules. So hopefully that did help you out there. We're going to round it out with our stresses and impresses, get the episode wrapped up. Actually, I might end it with a Mafia Market too. Had a little nice trade I wanted to mention. We'll see if we get there. So Keenan, do you want to start us with your impresses?
I sure do. Let me just scroll up. There we are. There we go. First one, I got Antonio Gibson, my boy. He's been crushing it. He had a pretty good week last week. 22 fantasy points against the Lions. Finished RB7, I believe, this past weekend. It was the second highest total of the season, and he has been really consistent. He's had 12 fantasy points in the last 6 out of 8 games, 4 rushing touchdowns in the last 3 games combined. But he's also starting to see some targets. I think, Eric, you mentioned that we're going to see a little bit more of him and less of J.D. McKissick. But yeah, I do like him. He's playing the Bengals this week, which is a good matchup. They allow a lot of rushing yards, but they don't really allow that many touchdowns for running backs. But I think you should be all right with getting good rushing production and receptions from him. My second one is Jerry Jeudy versus Miami. As long as he's healthy, I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be. You're going to have to start him rest of the season. He's getting double digits fantasy points in 3 straight games. He's had at least 8 targets in every game during his streak, and he should continue against the Dolphins this week. Miami has allowed the 10th most fantasy points to receivers. I know we talked about how great their defense is, but they're allowing big production out of the wide receivers. My last one is Tyler Boyd. Had Swift in here until you guys told me that he was not playing. That's a very sad moment for me. But Tyler Boyd, I mean, he's getting 21 target share this season. That's tied 25th in the NFL. Currently, he ranks as the wide receiver 16 in PPR. He has totaled 8 or more targets in 7 of the 9 games this season. So I could see him having a really good game against Washington, who allowed Marvin Jones to have a great game this past week, and Marvin Hall, right? He also had a big touchdown.
Yep.
So
Marvin Jones, yeah.
No,
Marvin Hall did. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, so look for Boyd to bounce back this week after a down game against the Steelers.
I'll go with mine now. I'll do my impresses. My first one.
Ready?
And my first one is James Conner going up against the Jags. As we talked about earlier, Jags are bottom 6 against running backs right now. Not only that, if the Steelers get up early, they could just pound the rock with Conner. Mike Tomlin's been getting questioned about the running game, and I think he's going to want to prove a point and really get a good get right game for James Conner here. My second one is DJ Shark going up against the Steelers. So same game here. Steelers are bottom 8 against wide receivers right now, and the Jags are going to have to be thrown to keep up with them. Like I said, if the Steelers get up early, they could be running the ball, which means, the Jags are going to be throwing the ball a lot. And it seems like Lutton likes to target Shark. The first game with him, he had a really good game. I know last game was a little bit rough, but he still got some targets. My third one is Mike Davis going up against the Lions. The game before CMC, 3 games actually before CMC came back, Mike Davis was struggling a bit. He had 3 games below 10 fantasy points. But the Lions are the worst team in the league against the run right now. In the past 3 games, they've actually allowed over the last 3 games, they've allowed 9 total rushing touchdowns and 21 catches to running backs. So I think Mike Davis is going to be in a get-right game here as well. No CMC there, so he's going to get a large share of the rushes there.
He could be like RB1 overall potential with that matchup.
Yeah.
That could be real nice for them. All right, let me work on mine. So I got Jalen Reagor at Cleveland. We have been waiting for the big breakout game for Jalen Reagor. I'm hoping that this is going to be the week. I'm seeing it as a pretty positive matchup for him. We know that the team is getting healthy. Jeffrey's coming back. We saw Goddard come back. Richard Rodgers played well. But the Browns have allowed 18 touchdowns to wide receivers this season. And I think that Cleveland's going to try to control the clock on the ground. That's all they want to do is ground and pound. They won last week 10-7. So I think the Eagles are going to want to try to get on top early. And they're going to – how are you going to do that? You got to throw the ball, and you're going to have to throw the ball deep. So Cleveland gives up the sixth most points to wide receivers right now. And he's showing his big playability and his speed with 13 targets in the last 2 weeks. So I think that Reagor has a good shot for an end zone reception. And Justin Jefferson against Dallas. I know this kind of seems like an easy one, but I think he's staying in the flames here. He hasn't really been able to keep the performances consistent, but that's not mostly his fault. I mean, he has multiple games with less than 5 targets because that's just how it goes with Minnesota. He hasn't actually had 2 straight games yet with double-digit or with more than 13 straight points. So I'm hoping that this week is the one he can do it against Dallas, who gives up the 3rd most points. And I think that he can break a couple long passes before it becomes the Dalvin Cook show in the second half, because, Cook's probably going to run all over them, but I could see a 50-plus yard touchdown for him. My third one is going to be T. Higgins, just kind of like what Keenan said with Tyler Boyd. Even though Washington doesn't give up a lot of passing yards, I think this is going to be the game where that might be opposite. So I think that Burrow's going to have a good shot for 250 to 300 yards. And I think without Mixon, they're going to want to throw the ball. He's going to be out, and with 62 yards or a touchdown in 8 straight games, I think it's going to be a good chance for him to be able to keep that up. And they might treat AJ Green as a wide receiver 1 again. Who knows? If not, and they cover Higgins and shadow him, it might be a tough game for him. I don't know if they're going to necessarily do that, though. So that's my impresses.
I like them. All right, we'll move on to my stresses. I got first one's Todd Gurley versus the Saints. The Saints have allowed the second fewest points to running backs over the last month. Gurley has been fantastic this season, fantasy-wise, but he's touchdown dependent, as I mentioned earlier. But the Saints haven't allowed a running back to get in the end zone in the last month, so be cautious there. They've allowed just 3 rushing touchdowns to backs on the season, so they're shutting down those running backs. Second one, Melvin Gordon versus Miami. The Broncos haven't been able to commit to a running game this year, where we thought they would after signing Melvin Gordon and having Phillip Lindsay there. They ran the ball just 6 times in the first 20 plays and just 14 times in the whole first half last week. Maybe it was because they were trailing 27-6 at halftime, but I mean, you got a young quarterback. You would think you would still try to get that running game going. It's just, the running game's just not cutting it for the Broncos this year. And Phillip Lindsay looks like he's starting to get healthy. Maybe he'll get more opportunities as we go. So be cautious with Melvin Gordon. And my last one, and kind of to piggyback on Antonio, was it your Steamboat quarterback that you had? Yeah, Jameis Winston. Well, my stress this week is Taysom Hill, guys. Listen, don't pick him up. Don't put him in tight end. Don't put him in the quarterback slot. There's plenty of other options on the waiver wire over Taysom Hill. You're not a 30-year-old player who's making his first start in the NFL as a starting quarterback. He's not going to light it up. I don't know why he's getting so much hype today via Twitter and all that, but I think even if you put him in a tight end slot, what are you going to get? 10, 15 points, I think. So, and we didn't really mention with this quarterback change, how does that affect Kamara and Michael Thomas?
I think Kamara might stay the same. He'll probably still get his short targets, maybe less in the end zone, in the red zone. But I mean, Michael Thomas had 8 targets out of the 23, so he saw 30%. He played over 80%. But do you think he's healthy? 80% of the snaps.
No, I don't.
That's a big thing, though. If he's not healthy, yeah,
they should. I mean, what are they? 8-2.
Like both games, yeah. But both games that he played in,
the regular season's over.
But both games he played in were blowouts, so it's not really like there was a game script where they really needed him. And in the 5 games last year where Bridgewater played, when Breeze got injured, he had over 20 points in 3 out of the 5 of them. So I think there's a shot for 20-plus points for these quarterbacks combined, which means Thomas is going to get the targets, but they're going to throw it to Michael Thomas. They have to.
Yeah.
So I feel like Thomas, if you've had him, you're not going to be able to sell him for what you want.
Yeah.
And Kamara, you got to keep him because he's been killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's 30 years old though. Just want
well, he came out, I think, at like 26 years old.
Yeah, he's got 4 years of NFL experience. So yeah, 26. Yeah. So that's I thought he was like 22, 23 years old.
Late bloomers. All right, I'm going to start with my stresses. My first one's Robert Woods against the Buccaneers. I know we were talking about them a little earlier with Josh Reynolds and Keenan Stream, or Eric Stream, but I mentioned that Carlton Davis and Jamal Dean are going to be covering the perimeter, and I think Robert Woods is going to be the big the big cheese with getting covered. So it's not going to go so well for him. They're not going to find the holes in this defense for Robert Woods, and he hasn't had more than 6 targets in 5 out of his last 8 games, and that's what he's going to need is the targets to be productive. So I think Robert Woods is going to be a tough one this week. My second one, James Robinson at Pittsburgh. We referenced him as well, talking about how great that schedule is going to be, or how tough that schedule is going to be. And I don't think this game script's going to be positive for him at all. I think they're going to be down, and they're going to be down early. If they're not going to be down early, they're not going to be able to throw the ball when they are. So, and I don't think running is going to be that well either. So I would temper expectations for him. But I think that Lutton's going to try and force a lot of Chark downfield. He may get some of the passing game, which could help him and save a little bit of the day. But Pittsburgh doesn't allow many rushing touchdowns, and they don't allow more than 65 yards a game. A.J. Brown. Like I said, this is a big week for him to suck it up. So you guys can trade for him if you can't get him before this week's game. And Ryan Tannehill has not been performing well either. He hasn't topped 18.5 points since week 6. And he heads to Baltimore, who allows just 213 yards a game. So Baltimore's coming off a strong win. And I think that, and on top of that, he's going to be facing Jimmy Smith and Marcus Peters. So there isn't a lot of AJ Brown's great. Like, we know AJ Brown's great. But it's Lamar Jackson right now. That's I meant they were coming off a loss to New England. Sorry, not a win. That should hopefully have them fired for Tennessee. But AJ Brown's great. I'm hoping he can get through this matchup. But they're going to shut down AJ Brown, and I think it could be more of a Corey Davis or just a rough game in general for Tennessee. So Robert Woods, James Robinson, and AJ Brown. Eric, bring us home.
All right, my first one goes against Keenan's impress over there, and I'm going with Tyler Boyd as a stress. I don't think he's going to be completely shut out or anything, but Washington is very good against wide receivers. They're second against wide receivers right now. But the Bengals throw so much. Boyd's going to get his targets and he's going to get his, but definitely temper your expectations with him. My second one is going to be Will Fuller going up against the Patriots. This one's more so, kind of like what we said in the past. Belichick likes to, take out your number one option. And I think right now Fuller is the number one option there, and Belichick's going to find a way to shut him down, which I think could potentially open things up a little bit for Brandon Cooks. And then my third one is going to be the Bucs running backs going up against the Rams. The Rams are second against running backs right now. They got Aaron Donald right there in the middle. It's going to be a tough game for them. So yeah, I think I'm stressing on them a little bit this week.
I don't blame you. I think we all kind of are. I know I was going to be going for Will Fuller as well. All right. I think and I know we were talking about the Bucs and everybody, and it's just hopefully a lot of these players can turn around this week. It seems like a lot of tough wide receiver matchups we're going to be facing. But that wraps everything up. That wraps up our episode. Do you guys have anything you want to close us out on?
Nothing. I talked enough. Maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut a lot of your segments. Way too much.
I don't blame you.
All right. Well, Eric.
All good.
Eric, I know you got something, Eric. Give the people something.
Have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, let's not
great weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow Keenan and I on Twitter. You can follow Keenan at Keenan_716. You can follow me at Antonio Denisi FF. If you want, you can unfollow Eric at EricD_FF.
Have a good Christmas.
Make sure to find us on YouTube. At youtube.com/Dynasty Mafia Podcast. You can also find our website, dynastymafiapodcast.network. We're wherever else you want to find us. We try to be everywhere. But thanks again for listening. If you are a first timer, welcome to the Mafia. And with that being said, Mafia out.